But first, breaking tonight, protesters and law enforcement scuffle in Minneapolis following yesterday's fatal shooting of a woman by a federal immigration agent. The Trump administration is again insisting the agent acted in self-defense after the driver of a vehicle tried to attack him with the car. Correspondent Garrett Tenney in Minneapolis tonight with the very latest. Good evening, Garrett.
John, good evening. Governor Tim Walz has now authorized the Minnesota National Guard to be staged and on standby to assist state and local police if protests get out of hand, something he was criticized for not doing sooner following the death of George Floyd. Heated protest in the cold of Minnesota today, leading to more than a dozen arrests outside a federal building in Minneapolis.
Shame on you all!
Hundreds of people taking to the streets across the city a day after an ICE agent shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good after federal officials allege she attempted to use her SUV as a deadly weapon.
Shame! Oh my God!
The FBI now handling the investigation into the incident alone after state officials claim they were pushed out and denied access to case materials and evidence from the scene.
Minnesota must be part of this investigation. When Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday, that's very, very difficult to think that they were going to be fair.
Federal officials say the FBI has jurisdiction since they believe this was an attack on a federal law enforcement officer who they say was fully justified in what he did.
And the officer feels as though his life was in jeopardy. It was used to perpetuate a violent act, that this officer took action to protect himself and to protect his fellow law enforcement officers.
The shooting scene now a memorial where faith leaders held a demonstration today calling for ICE to leave.
We need accountability and we need it now.
The billions of scam taxpayer dollars in Minnesota has prompted President Trump to designate an official to concentrate on growing reports of government fraud. This comes as the president and his team continue to support the immigration agent's actions during yesterday's shooting incident. Our senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy joins us now with that part of the story. Good evening, Peter.
A new assistant attorney general position has been created to investigate fraud nationwide, similar to what has been discovered recently in Minnesota.
Minnesota, unfortunately, is ground zero for what may be one of the most egregious welfare scams in our nation's history.
Vice President Vance claims Minnesota is ground zero for a sophisticated fraud ring and a shadowy left-wing network of agitators.
Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick?
President Trump just announced he is pulling another lever to try to make it more affordable to buy a home. He is telling Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to buy $200 billion worth of mortgage bonds. That is something he says will lower rates and make monthly payments cheaper. John?
All right, we'll see what impact it has. Peter Doocy for us tonight at the White House. Peter, thank you. Tonight, President Trump is ripping 5 Republican senators for siding with Democrats to pass a resolution calling for a limit to his actions in Venezuela. There was also a major vote on health care. Our chief congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram, is watching all of the action on Capitol Hill tonight. Good evening, Chad.
John, good evening. A brushback for the president. The Senate voted 52 to 47 to debate military operations in Venezuela. Republican Josh Hawley opposed a similar resolution 2 months ago, but voted yes today.
We don't know what might happen in Venezuela. We may want to commit troops. I just think that in that eventuality, Congress would need to then be on the hook for it.
Hawley was one of 5 Republicans who broke with the GOP on war powers. President Trump said the party should be ashamed of the defectors. He added that, quote, they should never be elected to office again. Republican Lindsey Graham called the vote a gift to Venezuela.
They're dead wrong. They're going to own screwing up the best chance we've ever had to liberate the people of Venezuela.
Democrats say saber rattling by the president changed the equation.
People don't want endless war. They start talking about Colombia. They start talking about Mexico. They start talking about Greenland.
Now, the White House will discourage Republicans from voting next week to hamstring the president on Venezuela. John?
Another vote as well today, Chad. Republican defections helped Democrats pass an extension of the Obamacare subsidies. Tell us what happened and where it's headed.
That's right. The House bypassed the Speaker, forcing a vote on renewing the expiring tax credits for 3 years. Now, the bill passed 230 to 196. 17 Republicans joined all Democrats in voting yes. However, the House bill can't overcome a Senate filibuster. Senators are crafting a bipartisan compromise to wind down Obamacare aid and impose reforms. John?
All right, we'll see where it all goes. Chad Pergram tonight. Chad, thank you.
Thank you.
Anti-government protests are spreading tonight in Iran. Reports say demonstrations are occurring in more than 100 cities. The regime has responded by resorting to deadly force and arrested thousands of protesters. Our chief foreign affairs correspondent, Trey Yingst, reports tonight from Tel Aviv.
Tonight, internet service was cut off or partially restricted in major Iranian cities, including the capital of Tehran, as leadership there tried to quell growing protests. Further east, Iranian protesters destroyed their country's flag in Iran's second largest city, Mashhad. On the 12th day of ongoing demonstrations, human rights organizations say that protests are now unfolding in more than 111 cities, with no sign of the unrest letting up.
Any kind of support scheme is certainly necessary and essential under these economic conditions. But unfortunately, runaway inflation is far ahead of the support plans.
The government in Tehran passed a bill this week to pay all Iranian households the equivalent of $7 a month, an effort to ease growing tension. At the same time, Iranian security forces continue to round up demonstrators, reportedly arresting more than 2,000 since the protests began. With domestic uncertainty, Iran is reportedly testing air defense systems and keeping its military on high alert, fearing Israeli or American strikes. An Iranian delegation traveled Wednesday to Beirut, Lebanon, the home base of Iran's largest regional proxy, Hezbollah. Hours after Iranian officials arrived, Israel struck new Hezbollah targets, and Iran's foreign minister spoke about the prospect of a broader war.
We are fully prepared for any situation. We don't want war, but we are ready for war. We are also ready for negotiations, but only negotiations that are based off mutual interests and respect.
While Israel also prepares for the possibility of another large war, officials here are continuing meetings about the Trump administration's Gaza peace plan. John?
Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv tonight. Trey, thank you.